Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Holy cow, Bitcoin finally 87,000. This is fantastic in a lot of ways, but also very unfortunate depending on how you look at it. Obviously, if you were in a leveraged long, maybe a different story altogether. Heck, we took a long at 93,000 and got stopped out pretty quick. It wasn't really worth it, honestly, in hindsight. But the truth is, the situation right now is kind of dire, right? We don't want to just jump right into a long position because we think the bottom's in. I've heard a lot of speculation of 87,000 being a potential support level. It's partially true. I mean, we had 4 days of closure at or above that level. So sure, 87,000 could very well be a potential nice area of support, but I don't like to put all my eggs in one basket, especially when there's just a small amount of confluence there. So just, I'd be careful taking longs at this level. Obviously, we never truly know where the bottom is. Best strategy in situations like this is just a dollar cost average on your way down. It's simple as that. I've been adding to my spot bag as we continue lower. Anything under 90,000, that feels like a good value for me. Again, more so big picture, spot bag, like investment things. I'm not like trying to turn a massive profit on my spot bag. I'm never planning to sell until I retire. That's just me personally. Okay. So everyone has different strategies, but I'm okay with this dip because I was able to dollar cost average pretty significant into a lot of coins, and it makes me feel a little bit happier here, even though everything's kind of in the red and there's no other way around it. It's not a great market right now. So let's try to make sense of this here by taking a look at some liquidation levels, see if there's any macro perspectives we need to be mindful of, which there are. And then obviously just, best practice in situations like this. Let's take a quick look here though. 86,000 is kind of that lowest area in which we saw the price action come down to. Almost exactly. It's funny how exact round numbers we're seeing. 86,000 was that low here effectively today. We can see there's some late longs at about 85.7. Those are probably high leverage long positions, which is crazy to me, but people will still continue to do that. But everything else has been fully swept. Again, we saw that massive, long liquidation at about 95,000, once more at about 93,000. I was expecting the price action to bounce off that $92,000 to $93,000 mark because there was so much liquidation there that generally speaking, we see those liquidation hunts and the price recovers. It hasn't stopped. Asian markets opened last night and totally just obliterated any potential late longs, including ours too. So again, that's kind of how it works, but I don't feel too bad about it because it was just, it was a little high risk, but also I didn't use a large position size. So not like the craziest thing ever, but you got to take your losses in stride, folks. And keep in mind too, the price is way lower than our stop loss in that trade. So that's why you use stop losses. Don't feel bad about seeing a red trade going into stop loss. That's actually protecting you and saving you money, right? So please understand that. It's not a bad thing, okay? Again, if you're doing it correctly, there's sometimes where it just infuriates you because you get a candle wick down, the price goes right back up. That sucks. But at this point, we didn't see that recovery around 90 to 93,000, so we got to presume that range is going to be a new resistance for us. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. 86,000, let's take a look here though. This is a macro over here, all right? We can see 86 to about 90,000 is that heavy area of liquidation. I can't even count this up. Each one of these red bars is about $5 billion in liquidation. There's probably about 20 or 30 of those. Obviously, I'm spitballing here. I don't know the numbers, but that's a lot of liquidation. There was billions of dollars being just obliterated last night. So when we take a look, though, at the macro, the largest concentration, and these are kind of some late longs that are coming in roughly within about, backspace there. We're looking, this happened on sometime yesterday, yeah. So the simple way to understand it is we have late longs here effectively that have these are low leverage longs and liquidation. And what this is about 76 to 79,000, basically to say we get closer to 80K, it would make sense to see a wick all the way down to about 76,000. Okay, so again, that's a potential reality for us. Is it distinctly likely at this exact moment? Hard to say if we see 2 or 3 more days of the same price action, of course, but just know that exists there. So those would be good places to consider adding to your position. I have pretty heavy spot orders in that area, and you got to keep in mind too those areas are potentially beneficial because that's really close to our previous all-time high. 74 to 80,000 is just above our previous high. There's a distinct chance if we get close to that, we'll see that retest as a solid support level. Right now, oh my gosh, this is huge. I've only seen this once when Bitcoin ran from 74,000 to like the $90,000 range. If you remember that from late last year, we had roughly 30 billion in liquidation long delta at that time. Right now, we have $30 billion in the liquidation short delta. In other words, $30 billion in liquidation could occur if the price were to spike up right now. That is a lot. Okay, so that's monumentally large. Generally speaking, when you get to the 10 to 15 billion, the price is supposed to turn around. So we're in extreme pain right now, as you probably already noticed by looking at the charts. So open interest, we can see some heavy concentrations at about 91.5, and then obviously 94 to 95,000 prior to that. So we don't have much open interest here, basically implying that nobody's buying, and that's why the price keeps going down. Everyone's scared. They're still too shocked to want to try to buy until the price bottoms out. Problem is, market makers are going to buy the dip, and it's going to be a thing of the past at some point. Between now and then, it doesn't look like they're buying either. So at this point, it makes more sense for the price to continue lower. So daily time frame, let's work our way down, kind of see what's going on here, and just to kind of clarify the time frame here, we can kind of see we had 21 days of range-bound activity, and yesterday price action just went for a run. Okay, and the crazy thing about this is most altcoins were down 10 to 15, almost 20% on the day yesterday, and so far today, not starting off super strong. Key takeaway here, though, is that a lot of altcoins are starting to bottom out. As Bitcoin maintains 87,000, it's been a very short period of time. We're starting to see a lot of altcoins recover quickly. This highly manipulated coin I'll cover next, that is Solana. But what I'm getting at here is that tremendous amount of buying pressure now with altcoins, because we can kind of see Bitcoin dominance is dropping really hard, mainly because profits are flowing away from Bitcoin and going into altcoins, or just new stable coins. People are essentially investing in altcoins because they're trying to buy these dips, as I am too, right? So it makes sense. But anyways, that's kind of what's going on, just to kind of give you some perspective as to where we're at. I do feel like if you're going to consider longs on altcoins, today might be a better day to consider that. Now, obviously, you generally don't want to buy these kind of dips with leverage at all. I would avoid that altogether. But very, very, very low leverage or spot might be a better consideration. Daily time frame, let's work our way down here. Sorry, I got a little distracted there. We can see we are down at this point here below all moving averages. We're pretty much going to see this significant kind of bearish divergence in all time frames. There's probably nothing really identifying we need to, there's a hidden reason to take a long position. There really isn't. From a technical standpoint, you're not going to find any considerations to take longs. Now, what we want to look at is, well, obviously we looked at support, 87,000 is that tentative support level, kind of our last level of support. We'll draw out some fib levels here in a second, but I just want to address here that we are tentatively under 30 on the RSI there. Generally speaking, that's a very overextended state and likely seeing relief rally from here. That's usually the case. In fact, we should have saw that yesterday, but we had extra selling pressure today so far and last night from the Asian markets open. So all that being said, there's nothing here that really implies you should continue to consider a long. I'll update our liquidation levels on the charts when I send out my playout chart. Keep in mind that is available on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. But we do see a fair value gap here that is quite substantial. So if you kind of look here, you can see it's between 92.5 and a roughly 95,000. That's the gap that I was hoping to see get filled yesterday when we took our long at 93 to 91,000, kind of an average entry of about 92. So all that being said here, that still exists because the price moved down so quickly that those gaps typically get filled at some point. Okay, so not saying we're just going to see a relief rally tomorrow to 95,000, but if we get back up over the 90 to 92K range, then expect that to get filled at some point. Between now and then, though, we want to presume the price will continue lower. That's just the best presumption to have or to make at this exact time. Now, when we look at overextension, let's quickly understand. We are at an 8 on TD sequential after we've been dumping. So we've been dumping for 32 hours straight. So that generally implies bottom is getting close, right? Now, again, that's just an overextension tool kind of letting us know that we are really significantly in the red. We can see that here as well with being closer to 20 on the RSI. When you see a 4-hour RSI at 20, it's common for the price to start bottoming out. Now, I'm not proposing you take a long at 87,000, but I can say that it would make sense for us to start kind of slowing down and going sideways at the very least before we leg down, because there's just there's so much selling pressure that you really can't get any more than this right now. At least it would be surprising if we continued much lower right away. Oftentimes in situations like this, you'll see the price go sideways and then down. So all the more reason to kind of wait before you take a long. Everything is extremely bearish. There's no hidden signs here, nothing at all telling us that we have a shift in momentum. If we take a look at the hourly, we can recognize the same scenario here. All green lights to leave your short position open if you have one. Thankfully, we had a nice couple of shorts open with a couple of small profit targets left available from yesterday that kind of offset our loss for the long. But again, it's just not the most fantastic, amazing trading conditions right now. So if you're going to consider any longs, I'm not I think you got to be selective, of course, but altcoins seem to be a decent consideration just from a bird's eye view right now of seeing some of those recoveries, right? But I would generally just recommend not trading at all. That's probably the best way to go. But if you're going to insist, it does seem like altcoins are starting to kind of bottom out, but it's too high of a risk for me to want to take a trade with right now. So as per usual, in situations like this, the best thing you can do is stay on the sidelines, just kind of let the dust settle, and then kind of get back in when things actually start happening. In other words, we want to see if this $87,000 range is going to hold or not. Okay. If not, it'll continue lower. Let's quickly draw out some fib levels just to kind of give you perspective on potential areas of retracement. And you guys, gals, everyone, you got to understand when you look at fib levels here. These are just kind of estimates of where the price may go, just based on kind of average, retracement levels. Okay. Please don't put this, on a pedestal. Try not to think that, Elliott wave theory is like 100% accurate because, we touched a fib level there. Okay, so just note that there are some areas of confluence, and it can be very beneficial if they align with support and resistance levels. In this case, 87 to 88,000 at 0.32 fib level, that would be a solid consideration for that being a potential support depending on how we hold, right? Secondary to that, we look at roughly 81,000. Then, of course, we see a lot of confluence at that previous all-time high at 74K. I'll post this playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, or Discord so you can kind of see it. But just kind of throwing it out there, we're in a support range tentatively, but it's not like a super strong support. It's only been tested like 3 or 4 days back in November. I think it was like November 10th. It's actually right when just after we figured out the election, if I'm not mistaken. Crazy stuff, man. All right. Folks, thanks again so much for watching. I'll look forward to working with you if you want to become a better trader. CryptoCash.tech is the site. Thanks for watching and liking the videos. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.